sim races from around the globe, honoring a revolutionary era of open-wheel racing. With a beast not easily tamed, roaring around legendary circuits at breakneck speed. When engineers and drivers push boundaries, sometimes too far. When heroes muscled roaring beasts wheel to wheel around the hallowed ground. A time when the only driver aids were his 2 feet, the perfect combination of man, machine, and speed. Experience the competition and the glory of early 80s IndyCar action. The Lionheart Retro Series presented by Next Level Racing starts now. Two races done, 2 challenges done in the 2022 Lionheart Retro Series. The Lotus 79s have already tackled the high-speed Homestead Miami Speedway and the technical Magic Mile, but these open-wheel beasts head back to the grounds they were meant to conquer. For the first time this season, we go road racing in upstate New York. This is Watkins Glen, and this is the ButtKicker GP at the Glen, presented by Moser Racing. Hello everyone, and welcome back to RaceSpotTV and coverage of the 2022 Lionheart Retro Series. The Lionheart Racing Series is powered by HyperX, makers of premier gaming gear like the legendary ultra-comfortable Cloud line of gaming headsets. Whatever you play, however you play, HyperX knows we're all gamers. My name is Arjuna Kankipati, delighted to be joined as always by DJ Clark, and let's dive straight into our next level pre-race show. DJ, race 1, drama to the end. Race 2, a little bit more steady, a little bit more consistent. The drivers that had pace were able to work their way to the finish, but 2 races down, 2 different winners to start off in 2022.
Indeed, and I wouldn't be surprised, Arjuna, if we see a 3rd race winner here tonight, as racing on a road course is going to present a whole new kettle of fish for these drivers, and it is very much getting to the point in that schedule where we're going to start seeing more and more of these road races popping up, and so you've got to be good on both to be successful across this entire schedule.
Look at the schedule presented by Next Level Racing. 7 days from now, our first Triple Crown of the season. If you're not excited about Pocono, what is running through your veins? Then just one more race in April sees us go to Phillip Island, the second of our road courses where we saw a blockbuster race in 2021. Then to Brands Hatch for the first time in series history, and to Nashville as well. Plenty of excitement as we swing our way through the first half of the season. Here's a look at your driver standings presented by Next Level Racing. Mike Razmas is at the top of the pile. Remember, he was in the title fight in 2021, but some struggles in the back half of the season meant that he slipped down to 3rd, but he started off on the right foot. It's a Graphics LC Motorsports 1 and 2. Ricky Harden sits in 3rd with race winners Chris Fowler and Chris Lanini, showing that consistency is going to be king. They're only there in 4th and 5th positions. A couple of names in this top 10 that we're expecting to watch out for today, though, DJ. David Sirrah, Michael O'Brien, and Matt Taylor.
Yeah, Sirrah in particular, a very experienced road racer. Michael O'Brien, always one to show out there. And Matt Taylor has been very quick all week in the practice session, so it is going to be, I think, one of those 3 that we could see spraying the virtual champagne here tonight.
Let's have a look at your team standings presented by HyperX. It was a 1-2-3 for Graphics LC Motorsports in race number 1. Madworks Motorsports closing the gap. Raven Lavoie Motorsports, Guyon, and Sirrah should get some good points on the board here today. Very much looking forward to what we can see with these teams championships across of the entirety of the year. Here's a look at your rookie standings, and David Rodriguez, the big surprise. 2 ovals to start things off. He's really not gotten his footing underneath him just yet, but look out for the likes of the Backfire Motorsports trio, who have shown some pace, just trying to get to grips with what this championship is all about. Let's look, though, at your series details presented by Gomez Sim Industry as we get set for the 3rd race in Season 6 of the Lionheart Retro Series. We're driving the classic Lotus 79, a custom-fixed setup built by RaceSpot's own Andrew Kinsella, as drivers fight for their share of just over $7,000 in cash and prizes. 3 Triple Crown races get underway with them in a week's time. Aaron Morgan, your defending champion on a part-time schedule, is here today riding the road courses. and he was part of that team championship winning affair, Avatar Auto Racing. DJ, you raced the series last year. Talk to us about the Lotus 79.
Well, it is a car that feels right at home on a sweeping circuit such as this. It is a car that utilizes a lot of the ground effects, so that means the more speed you get, the more grip you're going to get. The wings on these cars, though, do produce a good amount of aero wash, and especially coming around these long corners around Watkins Glen, you've got to be very, very careful not to get caught out in the aero wash. The other big thing to be careful about is the amount of torque that these rear wheels can generate. If you get onto the throttle too early, understeer is a big problem, as is spinning those rear tires and in turn spinning the car out.
Let's talk to you about your Moser Racing event details. 6 seasons, a 6th trip to upstate New York with this car, but it's a race where qualifying performance often is the entirety of the story. Pole position has dominated, leading the most laps and visiting HyperX victory lane every single previous trip here. Only 2 lead changes that came last year, where on strategy, Sage Karam gave up 1 of the lead laps in the 2021 edition of this race. 3 previous winners, Sage Karam, if he was here, would have been trying to make it 4 in a row, but as he stepped aside, we are almost guaranteed, because I don't think Ryan Otis is racing here tonight, a new winner. Look at the closest margin of victory as well. Not really expecting a close finish, and when you look at this track map, just under 3.5 miles, just under 5.5 kilometers, DJ, you get a sense for why it's so fast-paced. We're not running the inner loop, but you'll see on that long back run in towards the carousel as you descend then down into the boot. This is a place where technique really does get rewarded.
Yeah, it certainly does. It's a lot about that soft throttle application that I talked about. You've really got to feel out the car, feel it through your fingertips. You've got to let the track come to you. There aren't a lot of what we would consider sort of standard corners around here, those sharp 90 degrees or tight twisting corners. A lot of it is a flow circuit, and so it's a lot of technique, it's a lot of rhythm that you have to build into. And don't be surprised if we see a couple of drivers maybe take a few laps to get built up into that rhythm and then start to charge their way through the field.
Love this track. We saw some great action here just this past week on RaceSpotTV. Those were in the Pro Mazdas with an eclectic group of real-world drivers and drivers that are around the motorsports paddock. But with this Lotus 79, we're in for something different as we get our first look at the track here today. Should note, it's a new version of Watkins Glen, DJ. It's not really a track configuration change. What it is an overhaul by iRacing. This was one of the first tracks that iRacing brought to the service a long, long time ago now, 14 years ago. New curbing, new graphics update, and a surface update as well. What does that mean for our drivers here today?
Well, what it means is that it's really created the heel of the boot into more of a passing opportunity because there is more paved runoff around there. I anticipate that being an area to go. It also means the paved runoff around this circuit on a lot of places, it's not going to be as punishing. But coming up over turn 9, always one of the danger areas. Those walls are going to be very, very close as always. But the other thing to be careful of is these curbs are raised up a lot higher around here. You can't be as aggressive as you once were around them, especially in these ground effects Lotus 79s.
Love this car. Ground effects has returned to Formula 1, but the word porpoising, not really something we worried about so much with the way that the ground effect was generated in this era of Formula 1. Here comes a driver we're expecting to be quick. Marius Valiokis has been hit or miss in these opening couple of races, got mixed up in an incident during his first race in his Retro Series career. He's only gone 5th fastest for now. Matt Taylor as the benchmark with a 1:34.5. 12 times currently set down, split by 1.5. The big shock, Michael O'Brien, 1.5 seconds off his teammate in that 45 machine.
That is a big shock. I did not expect O'Brien to be that far off the pace. Rasmus, Reagan, Sirwa, those are all to be expected there. Matt Taylor obviously topping the charts as well. Valiokis putting a good time in here for that RSR by ButtKicker machine.
Look at the way that the car transitions itself down the hill as he enters into this boot section. Look how wide you run as well. You can go too wide, but these are wide machines, so you need to be careful. Richie Hearn, who put it on pole position in Phillip Island, goes up to 7th. Top 10 or so split by about 9/10. Aaron Morgan Still waiting for him to come down and put down a benchmark lap time. 10-minute qualifying session, so double the time that we usually get on the ovals. Track is still restricted to the drivers. They only get to run by themselves, so it means no draft shenanigans being played like sometimes you see in modern-day Formula 1. Valiokos currently 2,000ths back from David Sirwa, two drivers we expected to shine today. And as he works himself out of turn 11, Sirwal's gone top with a 34.1, indication that the lap times go quicker. Taylor goes 34.072. Does Valiokos find those 7/10ths? No, he doesn't. He finds 6/10ths though. He goes up to second. O'Brien finds some speed as well. He's up to fourth.
Well, those players that we were talking about here, Arjuna, they are right at the top of the charts. Matt Taylor there, currently your provisional pole sitter by that 1/10 of a second. 4 laps of qualifying around here, and watch for those times to continue to get lower and lower as the fuel burns off. This car is very sensitive to weight loads, and so as it gets lighter, it will get faster.
And that's why with these bi-supply tires, sometimes, for example, in the Lionheart IndyCar Series, even though you have the same fixed amount of fuel, which is a race tank in effect, you see drivers do a lap, come back to pit lane, and then roll back out onto track. You're not going to see that here. And we're not really expecting tire strategy as well, DJ. Bi-supply tires designed to go the length of a race. We saw some tire strategies on the ovals, but I think with the cool track temperatures we're seeing today, that's not likely at the forefront of drivers' minds.
No, it's only about 80, well, it's creeped up here a little bit. It's 97 degrees Fahrenheit right now, so getting a little bit toastier on track, but not nearly to the point where I think you're going to see tires going off. It is a little bit taxing. Drivers are going to have to watch out for tire wear, but I don't think you're going to see tire changes in these pit stops, Arjuna.
Does Taylor go faster? 2 laps already on the board. Sirwa, marginal improvement to the outside of the front row. Taylor doesn't improve. Now we wait and see. Does Valiokos manage to find some time? He does, and Valiokos and Sirwa were tied on time. He breaks the benchmark there. Michael O'Brien cycles himself up into third. Taylor, though, 8,000ths clear of Valiokos. If we're ever expecting to see our first on-track lead change, it might be here today, DJ.
It might be indeed, as those top 3 separated only by 23,000ths of a second. And this part that Valiokos is on right now, this is where I anticipate a lot of the passing to potentially get done. Being able to tuck up behind in the draft and then sling those cars into the outer loop. That is really an area where you can get a good pass done. And always a good fight back here going down into the chute of the boot.
It's a good thing that we don't have Eduardo Freitas as race control today. As you work yourself out of this right-hand uphill hairpin, you'll note that as we come down out of the toe into the heel of the boot, drivers will run exceptionally wide. We'll get a look first at Valiokos doing that as Sirwa's time, this time by, seems to slow himself down. He's not going to improve, but look at how the RSR by ButtKicker machine, that green and black car, slithers its way all the way to the outside. Freitas would have a field day with that, but he's not in control. Race control will keep a vigilant eye, though, on things that happen between the various cars. Final lap time attempts then about to come on through. Taylor in that 8 machine, deprived of the championship at the end of last year. 33.922. He finds a bit more speed. Here comes Valiokos as well. He finds some speed as well. He goes pole.
By 4,000ths of a second. My goodness, Valiokos pulling that out of a hat. Arjuna, the 23, puts himself on pole. As we focus back here, Aaron Morgan, a little bit surprised to see him this far down in the order in 8th. Maybe he can find a little bit more to move his way forward.
We talked about the struggles for Marius coming into this one, but we always thought that the road courses would be where he shined. I've raced against him in endurance series, never in this Lotus 79, as Morgan gets a whole bunch of oversteer over the crest, coming back onto the regular configuration of Watkins Glen. 5,000ths at the front of the field. 60 seconds left to go in qualifying. I think we're about to have some certainty in our qualifying results. Here comes Morgan to the line. He'll improve marginally as well. Should be good enough to get him into the top 5. Indeed, there he goes. Slots himself forward. Oh boy, we're in for a treat. One thing to note as well, 5 drivers have elected not to put down a qualifying lap time. Only one of them has a penalty. That one is Isaac Snyder.
Yeah, indeed. So those drivers will have to start at the back of the field there. This isn't a race necessarily that I would want to opt to be taking that strategy on of not starting off, but we'll have to see how it plays out for him, Arjuna.
Yeah, well, end-of-line penalty for Snyder, Young, Accord, Hotham, and Forsyth. The 4 drivers that have elected not to put down a lap time. Qualifying draws to a close. Is this the year that pole position is fought to the end? Well, we're about to find out. Let's go trackside here in upstate New York. Let's run you down through the starting grid for your ButtKicker Grand Prix at the Glen. And his first career pole position in his Retro Series career, Marius Valiokis will lead us to the green with a 1:33.918. Matt Taylor, 5,000 off the pace. What a fight we're in for at the front of your field. Michael O'Brien, David Sirwa will share row 2 with 2 very quick road course drivers looking to use the toe to build their way towards the front. Aaron Morgan, our defending champion, returns, but he's back in 5th alongside Chris Reagan in that 19 machine for Elite West Racing. Chris Fowler in the 20 lines up inside of Mike Razmas, your points leader, while David Rodriguez, Chris Staples will roll off on row 5, Richie Hearn, Luke Daniels miss out on the top 10. Adam Frazier, Lionel Calisto, 13th and 14th, while sharing row 8 is the solid red of Will Gibson and Luis Gonzalez Nunez looking for some luck after yesterday's Lionheart IndyCar Series race didn't go so well for him. The Candyman rolls from 17th alongside Backfire Motorsports and Rodrigo Munoz. While to complete the top 20, Ricky Harden and Tyler Graff. Alex Guyon, Chris Lanini, 21st and 22nd, with Cristobal Valenzuela and Trevor Malone right behind them. Scott Holmes, Robert Mikes, George Anzaldo, Jim Herrick through the 28, while to complete the top 30, Mike Rigney and Hugo Gallus. Final cars with lap times on the board. It's Matthew Schofield as well as Danny Roberts. Isaac Snyder has that end-of-line penalty to deal with Craig Forsyth, Brian Hotham, Brett Accord, and Adam Young bringing up the tail end of your field. What a race we're in for here today, and as always, we're delighted to have onboard looks with every single one of your cars, but 4 very special onboard looks. Let's start by running you through them as we have a full pace lap to work ourselves through. Aaron Morgan has your ButtKicker onboard camera. Sim racing is better with ButtKicker. Visit thebuttkicker.com.
Tyler Graff is going to be riding with the Graphics Esports on-board camera. Graphics Esports, world-class design from real world to virtual. Visit www.graphicsesports.com.
The man behind, got a little confused there. Michael O'Brien has the SimRace 24/7 onboard camera. Visit simrace247.com, where sim racing is for everyone.
And David Sirwa will be driving with the HyperX on board. Whatever you play, however you play it, HyperX knows we're all gamers, and HyperX is always ready to game.
So that's your 4 featured onboards, but the great thing about sim racing is onboards with all 37 of our cars, but also infinite amount of track cameras and infinite camera angles to run you through. I had a conversation, DJ, with someone that's commentated at the 24 Hours of Le Mans, and we did a race, guess where, at the Circuit de la Sarthe, and he looked at a camera angle that we had looking down the long Mulsanne Straight, and he's like, let me grab a picture of that. I should go tell the TV director that we need that next year.
It just goes to show you sim racing starting to influence some real racing, and back and forth, Arjuna.
So, it is going to be a 37-lap race. Fuel window about 16, 17 laps. We're not really, I think, realistically, DJ, thinking that anyone can save enough fuel to make it on a one-stop.
No, they most certainly can't. This is a circuit that you need a lot of power on, even if you are tucked up behind in the draft and are really able to be sipping that fuel. This is going to be a 2-stop race all the way throughout it. You are not going to be able to make this a one-stopper.
If you're watching on RaceSpotTV, do let us know who you're cheering for. What are you expecting to see in today's race? If you're watching on ESTV, well, make sure to get involved on social media. Keep up to date with the latest news around the Lionheart Racing Series. Busy, busy week. Yesterday was the IndyCars as they went racing for what was a dramatic race where Phil Krause took to the checkered flag. Today, We're switching from Sparta, Kentucky to upstate New York. What a historic venue this is. And I said it at the start of the show, DJ, this is the track where this car was always meant to go quick.
Yeah, it was indeed. Fast-flowing corners, being able to keep air coming underneath the Venturi tunnels of these cars. This is this car's home turf, and it is spectacular to race. And if any of our viewers haven't gotten a chance to take this car out and just run some hot laps, I highly encourage it, because this is one of the best combinations on iRacing.
How did you do in this race last year, DJ?
I did not do well. I crashed out on lap 4.
I apologize for throwing you under the bus, but that's what's great about having someone with experience in the booth. They can tell you how difficult this is, what the drivers are going to be dealing with. Porsche pace car, we won't see it for the race. Competition, commitment, excitement. This is Lionheart, and this is round 3 of your 2022 Lionheart Retro Series, the ButtKicker Grand Prix at the Glen, presented by Moser Racing. Green flag flies, we're underway for the first road course of the season. Valiokos gets a great start, but they're three wide with Aaron Morgan looking down to the inside as they funnel their way through turn number 1. They start the climb up the hill, 120 feet of elevation change from the bottom of the S's to the top, and this is where that draft will come into play.
Yes, it will, and Valiokos able to pull out about a 0.4 of a second advantage. I don't know if that's going to be enough to hold it, but behind him we've got side-by-side drivers treating this like a NASCAR track as we get going down into the outer loop.
Looks like Syrah on that inside, losing out with the draft. He'll get shuffled back a couple of positions. Matt Taylor has gone, though, from the outside of the front row to 6th position. A horrible start for him as now they descend down to enter into the boot. NASCAR would take a right turn before you get to that left-hand sweeper, but nice and tidy at the front of your field. I think all 37 cars still pointed in the right direction, knocking on wood as I say that.
Indeed they are, and I've got to give credit here to Michael O'Brien. He's been able to close down that gap on Valiokos, even having a little bit of a poke this way and that, trying to warm up the tires, maybe get into the head of the 23.
How important will warm tires or cold tires be at this point in the run, DJ?
At this point in the run, you should be relatively okay. It's really
we got trouble.
The...
We got trouble. Nunez involved and Zaldo involved as well. Gallas and Herrick will grab a replay in a couple of moments' time. But through the final corner, Valiokos leads for the first time in his Lionheart Retro Series career. O'Brien's right on his tail and hungry for victory. Morgan in the mix, Reagan in the mix, Syrah in the mix as well. But other than the drum, yellow flag. That's the first time in Lionheart competition I have ever seen that. There must have been a monumental shunt to bring that out.
Indeed, I'm seeing Will Gibson falling down the field, Herrick Roberts and Lanini all looking out of it as well. Gonzalez Nunez, I think, is in pit lane as well.
Let's see then what happened here. As for the first time in 14 months of commentating on Lionheart on road courses, we've seen this happen, and I didn't think Watkins Glen, to be completely honest, would be the place that we saw it. Let's take a look here at okay, so it's the 13, so that would be Isaac Snyder, who already, by the way, as we mentioned earlier, had an end-of-line penalty, I would suspect. Oh, you're looking at another one, Isaac.
Yeah, that's not exactly going to go well for Isaac. Just a little bit aggressive here, going down to the inside, heavy on the brake. You know what? That wasn't Isaac's fault. That was a movement under braking.
Yeah, it's not all his fault. I retract what I said. We'll grab another look at this, and then we'll start working our way through the chaos.
I believe here that was Luis Gonzalez Nunez that moved under braking in that zone. Look for the yellow number 14. There you can see it right in the front of frame. And that just set off a domino behind.
Yeah, so plenty of time because they're going to be long laps here on the pace car. On board with the 40 sim racing car that's Hugo Gallas, who I think trying to slow down in time. That's a horrific one for not just Herrick, but that Marshall who's rather nonchalantly standing as though nothing's happened.
That is a lot of guts there for him.
Lanini! Is that Lanini?
Yes, and Arjuna, I am very familiar with that incident. That's exactly where I binned it last year.
So it's coming back onto the regular part of the track. What happens here? So they're almost 3 wide. That's never going to end well. I think Trevor Malone gets clipped from behind. Lanini's the one who gets sent up into the air. It was a very slingshot kind of effect for him, and then tumbling end over end. That is huge. I think Danny Roberts, the other car, mixed up there.
Yeah, indeed, and that is an incredibly tricky corner. We ride on board with it there. You can see with Roberts, just nowhere to go. He thought he was going to be clear on it, and he just ran out of space.
So Lanini took the toe. Roberts took the toe as well. Plenty of cars, unfortunately, getting mixed up in that one. That's going to be all the replays that we really do have to take a look at, fortunately. But for the first time ever, I think, at Watkins Glen in this Retro Series, we've got a caution out.
Yeah, indeed. The only time that I can ever remember is, I want to say 2 or 3 seasons ago in the IndyCar Series, Arjuna. I know there was a yellow at Road America with a very similar incident, but that is the only one that is coming to mind as a road course yellow here in any of the Lionheart series.
So that explains why we got the yellow. The first incident was a chain reaction, yes, but not blocking the road. That second one was a big one.
Yeah, very, very massive. And coming up over turn 9 like that, Arjuna, that is a tricky corner when you're running in single file, because the track just suddenly flattens out on you. You have to be very, very soft with the throttle pedal. I talked about spinning the rear tires earlier on. That is a prime area to do it. And if you're not careful, the car will just pirouette on you. And if you run offline coming through there, that is the danger, is that you can just get that car to absolutely spin away on you. And running 3 wide through there, that was almost just inevitable at that point.
Still don't know exactly who the yellow machine was, the black and yellow car that was the one that ran into the back of Trevor Malone. Might be Will Gibson, I'm not 100% sure, just looking at the timing screen who's had to come down pit lane. Looks like 3 retirements though. Roberts, Herrick, Lanini. That Herrick incident. Another one where I'm glad we're sim racing, DJ, and not out there in the real world.
Yeah, very much so, Arjuna. That was a very, very nasty incident, both for the Marshall, as you pointed out, and for Jim.
Yeah, let's not forget that marshals, even here on the sim, have a tough job. They put themselves out there in the line of fire, and they hope that things like that don't happen.
Indeed, indeed. Well, now this is going to change things up a little bit. We may see some drivers... Yeah, we may see some drivers be able to potentially make this on a one-stopper now. We could see some drivers maybe opt to come down here, just take a little bit of fuel, maybe try to get to the end. I think if you're farther down in the order, if you're down around with Guyon or Valenzuela, come down pit lane.
I think Ricky Harden went for a fake. Tyler Graf might be the only one inside the top 20 to peel off. Adam Young will be the second, and Zaldo, Gallas, Malone, Nunes. So a couple of cars that already, by the way, have had to come down onto the pit lane. So there's the split. And I'm not totally shocked that if you're Marius, you didn't come down, because I think it would be more dangerous to put yourself back in the pack, force yourself to work your way through the field, than it would be to try and run away at the front.
Yeah, exactly. You do not want to sacrifice that track position. But if you're farther down in the field, if you are in those positions, why not come in? If you've already had to come down for some maybe repairs early or anything like that, it is a good call to come on down. Oh man, as we take another look at that incident.
I am transfixed by this one. I really do, though, want to figure out who the yellow and red car is, the yellow and black car, excuse me, is, that gets mixed up in that. Give us just a moment or two and we'll try and pick it apart. So Malone's the pink and black. That one is obvious. Now, I'm struggling. There's Gibson who's going through. He's got steering damage as a result of that. So it's not him in the 5.
Yeah, I think he picked that up earlier. He actually picked that up from the previous incident, the domino effect coming down into the heel. I'm looking to see here, Arjuna.
Yeah, let's see if we can logically pick this apart. We might be reliant on... Oh, it's Danny Roberts. Okay, no, that's a different... Oh, my, I'm so confused right now.
Just so many tumbling cars.
And so much going on as well. That's the other thing.
Exactly. But the good news is for race fans, pace car lights are off. We are ready to go back racing. We'll get restarted on lap 5.
So, Could you make it from a one-stop even if you haven't come down onto pit lane?
I think that's going to be a stretch. Look for some of the guys who came down on lap 3. They just might be able to do it. If they're running super slow laps, trying to sip as much of that fuel as possible, then they may be trying to go for that one-stopper.
It's about a 35-second delta in pit lane, maybe a little bit more. 3 laps under caution. Remember, we were thinking that they were going to be 3 laps short at the end of this race. Maybe they have to save 1-2 laps of fuel. So that would be 1 lap per stint of the race, which is not impossible.
No, it's certainly not. So this is going to change some things up strategy and race-wise, Arjuna.
So, first caution, since RaceSpot has taken over on these road courses in Lionheart competition. We're hoping for a cleaner start. We're glad to have you watching live on RaceSpotTV, on replay on ESTV. Valioka still in control. O'Brien's worked himself up from 3rd to 2nd. Green flag flies. We're racing in upstate New York once more. Stack up towards the back of the field as they try and time the restart to perfection. Morgan goes defensive because Reagan's going on the offense, but slingshotting themselves out of turn 1. They begin the climb up the hill once more.
Indeed they do, and that was a great run from Valiokas. I thought Aaron Morgan was maybe going to get a little bit of a jump on O'Brien, but we've got a little bit of an attack here. I think it's going to be Reagan that's going to be in the position to make the move.
He's looking feisty. He is that black and white car as O'Brien's going to cut over and actually block his momentum. Former teammates maybe working against one another potentially here. Maybe O'Brien's trying to help out Reagan as they slide their way into the corner. Reagan checks up because he almost drifts up into that 24 car. But down the hill, they're still side by side into the chute. Long way around can work, but you have to be so careful you don't get pushed wide into the grass. Great job from Reagan, who holds the inside as they work themselves into the heel.
And this should be the line for Reagan, and indeed, that is Aaron Morgan that has to give up the ghost. Discretion being the better part of valor there for the number 24. I like that. Is he going to have a look down into it now? Maybe thinking about it? No.
That, I think, was a bit unwise to even have the look, because it opens the door for David Sirra behind to maybe try and work his way forward. You have side-by-side with Rodriguez and Richie Hearn. Richie Hearn has plenty of experience in beasts like this as he tries to fight wheel-to-wheel with Rodriguez in front, Staples behind him. But first green flag lap about to be in the books. Valiokas will lead from O'Brien, Reagan, Morgan, Sirra. One change inside the top 5. It was Morgan slipping back.
It was indeed, and you saw there Valiokas moving to the inside once he came off of that final corner, just trying to break a little bit of the toe from Michael O'Brien. O'Brien following him in line. Look for that to continue as Valiokas tries to build more and more of a gap here.
Up the hill they climb once more. 120 feet of elevation change. That's the story. And how the hole in the air being punched by the car in front might just help you, but look how single file they are. That's why we've seen this race have only 2 previous lead changes in 5 total years. Coming through the outer loop, they sweep themselves down the hill into the chute. That green and black car has a 4/10 advantage, 5/10 advantage over O'Brien. Don't think he'll run away too easily, but you can already see it's clear he's got the pace advantage in the early stages. He's not thinking about doing any fuel saving.
No, he is not. He is just absolutely pushing there, losing a little bit of time coming off of the heel there as they work their way now down into the heel, trying to see what it is. There you can take that wide line. That is within track limits on this new upgraded Watkins Glen track.
Throws me for a doozy sometimes when I see track limits like that, but it's the same for everyone. I guess that's the way it works. If your competitors can do it, you can do it too, and at least it's an equal playing field for everyone. Watch on the left-hand side through that final corner. Grass already being kicked up. So easy to get a little bit too wide on the entry, trying to sweep the momentum through and to lose the balance of the car. Tarmac versus grass, very different grip characteristics, but at least we're not seeing any mistakes so far. Valenzuela has had an issue that's going to see him come down to pit road, I would believe, because he's going quite slowly. He'll stay out there, so no harm, no foul. Battling going on between Forsyth and Rigney as they dive into turn 1.
Yeah, and Rigney, they're trying to get the move done into the 90. Not always the best decision. You really want to try to set up the pass coming up through the S's. Making this run here, it's a little bit like you're running on an oval. You've got to time it to absolute perfection. And Rigney there, I don't know if he got it. Whoa, that's a big move to the inside.
That's Tyler Graf, I think, going on the offense in the 98 black and red car. Remember, he came down onto pit lane, to get some fuel. So he's feeling confident that he can push the very end of this race, and right away going on the offense. Graf back up now into 24th, only 4 places down from where he qualified. Some separation forming up front. Sorry, DJ. Morgan almost 9/10 off the pace right now. The top 3 starting to stretch their legs.
Yeah, they certainly are. I'm very surprised by that from Aaron Morgan. I wonder if he's potentially doing maybe a little bit of fuel saving there, as I wouldn't expect him to be that far off the pace of our leaders.
I do remember we talked to him about this in race 1 of the season, the fact that he's doing some of the races here, but he's more focused on IndyCar and what he can deliver performance-wise there. Didn't want to split his attention. That's why it's only a part-time schedule here. We're coming off that race yesterday at Kentucky. Let's take a look at what happened to Valenzuela, and that's Mike Rigney. You can run wide, but that's the danger. That other car might not give you space, and this is a good job from the 33 to hold the brakes and be patient.
Yeah, massive kudos there to him, just being patient, holding the brakes, being predictable for the cars around him to be able to move out of the way. Love that they're making the best out of a bad situation.
Excuse me, I misidentified. It wasn't Mike Rigney. I'm not sure who it was. That might have been Matthew Schofield, because I see he's now actually coming down into pit lane. So there we go, 2 and 2 equals 4. Right on board and watch through this.
You see, he just gets a little bit of that angle, tries to carry it around the outside. I think he tries to cut back a little bit on it potentially as he tries to get back onto the track, and unfortunately nowhere for him to go.
You can't pass off the track. It's as simple as that, unfortunately. Let's take a look at your track conditions. We mentioned it's a little bit cool here in upstate New York, and that's relative because we've seen track temperatures here on RaceSpotTV at this very track upwards of 120 Fahrenheit before. 90 Fahrenheit, might as well be a cool winter's day in comparison, but note the cloud cover above the circuit.
Yeah, that cloud cover is going to be very, very crucial here. 75 degrees ambient temperature. That means that this track is going to be fluctuating up and down. Remember, during qualifying, it was up to 97 degrees Fahrenheit, as that is Adam Frazier coming into the pits from within about the top 15.
And his car looks good. Car looks clean. So I wonder if this is a strategy call to get out of the Hornet's nest. Maybe he thinks his pace is better in clean air, but we're about to find out as the 88 becomes the first car to pit for a regular stop in today's race. Richie Hearn having his traditional internet issues. We love Richie, but it is a reality of racing alongside with him. Alex Guyon, Callisto side by side as they work their way through. It's a car going aggressive in front of them as well.
Yeah, and they're going to slot back into line through the outer loop. Guyon being able to hold ahead of Callisto here. Callisto's got to watch his behind. Dustin Wardlow only about 0.4 of a second behind him, so they can't spend too much time squabbling. Otherwise, they will lose time, and Wardlow will be a part of this battle.
1.2 back, so almost out of drafting range is the car that we're focusing on right now, the 08 of Guyon. Morgan's closed the gap at the front, now down to just 0.6 of a second, so he's back inside of drafting range, in something that will be crucial to be following along with throughout the course of the race. We'll take a look top and bottom at 2 different battles. Battle for 13th as they round themselves towards the penultimate corner. Battle for 3rd through the final corner. 9 laps about to be in the books.
Yeah, 9 laps here in the books. Both of these battles in a little bit of that stagnation territory that we talked about that you can see around here at Watkins Glen. I think drivers getting into that rhythm, just trying to find that beat and that pace around here. Look for things to start getting a little bit more electric. We talked about this in the previous 2 races on the ovals. These cars get very lively when they get light on fuel. When we get closer and closer to about that opening pit stop window, that's when we will start to see drivers really start to get aggressive.
And Adam Frazier seems to have retired from the race, DJ.
You hate to see that. I'm not sure what happened to him there. Maybe a blown engine, potentially?
But he looked okay coming into the box, and quick scrub through the replay machine doesn't indicate that anything happened to him either, so maybe we can get word from down in pit lane at some point during the race, but he becomes now the 5th retirement. Schofield, Lanini, Herrick, and Roberts, the other cars we look to have day done in today's action. Front of the field, looks as though O'Brien is losing time, gaining time. There's no consistency at the front of the field, but he's still in drafting range. He's still in fuel-saving range as well.
Yes, he is, and that's going to be crucial. If he can maybe eke out a little bit longer on a tank of fuel, take a little bit less on that last stop, that could help him out. Valiokas punching a big hole in the air here. He is the one taking the full brunt of that air, and so that means he is not able to save it all. You can see there O'Brien closing up a little bit through the 90 as they work their way through.
Now, these were H-pattern gearboxes back in the day, but here on iRacing you can do what you want. When you race this car, what would you do, TJs? I think O'Brien's going to close, but I don't think he should go for the move. I think it would be wise to lay back, but he's decided no, he's not going to lay back. He's going for the lead. Side by side, down into that right-hand sweeper of the outer loop. New race leader, Michael O'Brien, a nose in front. Oh, contact! What car control?
I don't know how Valiokas held on to that, but he was able to, and this is now going to allow for Reagan to be on the offensive here on your former leader.
Now, is there damage to that 23 car? That will be the key thing. And I'll go back to what I was indicating as they came down into that section. I don't think it would be the worst thing in the world for O'Brien to have hung back there.
No, I don't either. Save fuel, let it be. Don't be that aggressive this early on, but Michael O'Brien clearly had different plans.
Let's take a look at the replay very, very quickly here. You'll just see O'Brien, now does he come up a tad? Don't get the best view from that camera angle. We'll have to try and pick it apart from a couple of other looks out on track and maybe slow it down as well. Maybe Reagan gets a good view as well. He's a little bit far behind, but maybe this is going to be a good look for us. So you see, Marius tries to cut down, which is what you would expect him to do. Does O'Brien run up wide trying to get on the power? He's painting that yellow line. He comes up a bit, but I would argue that maybe Marius should have given him a little bit more leeway there.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there, Arjuna. I think it's, at the end of the day, I would call that a racing incident, but if I did have to put blame down, I would have to put it on Marius there.
I mean, racing incident is ideally what we're going to say there. We're not trying to say that that's a penalty or anything. We're just trying to say who was smart, who made a mistake. Looks like a little bit of lap traffic might be a factor as well as we ride on board with that 19 machine. So our first on-track pass for the lead in 6 years at Watkins Glen in this Lotus 79.
All right, you love to see it here, and something tells me that Marius Valiokas is not exactly going to take that laying down. I think he is going to try to work his way forward, and Arjuna, you were right. That is Trevor Malone, about 1.6 seconds up the road from these drivers, so that is going to present a little bit of a challenge here, and we'll have to see how Trevor deals with it.
They say liveries make the car. At least go fast. I think that livery is a good 10 out of 10. Maybe 9 out of 10 if you want to be harsh, because there's no RaceSpot logo on that car. Trevor Malone plays very, very nice to get out of the way, but it's a beautiful car and it makes full use of the spec map system that iRacing has.
Yes, it does. It's a fantastic livery. Whoa, that was a car way
Malone.
Off in the background there. That was Malone getting out of the way, I think.
Yeah, it's so difficult. You know, when you've got a train of cars that extends 8 now cars split by 3.5 seconds to find a place to pull over and let them go. Trevor Malone, I think, deciding that the best course of action was to get completely out of the way and reset back to pit lane, and we've got trouble. Trouble down out of the 90. Chris Staples and Luke Daniels being mixed up with one another.
Ooh, very, very tricky, as that is a very slow Aaron Morgan.
Yeah, now, you can't get a slowdown penalty surely anywhere there. Around the outside, David Sirah, we were bigging him up at the start of this race. Still got to fight this one. We saw the outside line. Morgan might be able to make it work. By the way as well, Tyler Graf, one of the few cars that pitted in that caution cycle, has had to reset himself back to pit lane. He's been mixed up in something as well. Morgan holds on for now. Sirois might be looking backwards.
He may indeed. That exactly didn't pay out for him there. That is going to be Rasmus trying to get a little bit interested, but later on the brakes is Sirois around the outside of the heel. Can he make this work?
Recognition as well that you can use the runoff out wide, and that puts Sirois up now into 4th. Rasmus tried to get up into 5th, but Morgan had the momentum to hold on. Great fighting, but now 2 seconds back from Chris Reagan, who by himself has also lost some ground to those in front of him.
Yes, he has. He's about 1.2 seconds off of Valiokis and O'Brien, as Valiokis has got his horns pinned back there. Whoa, a little bit of a slice and dice in the back.
Yeah, that's aggressive from Taylor after starting on the outside of the front row. I don't think he wants to be this far back and sees those leaders pulling away. Not much he can do right now except tuck himself behind in the draft and try and work his way forward.
And you can see just how close that number 8 is. He's going to poke his nose to what will be the inside line. We've seen this play out before, but he is going to stall out a little bit. Is he going to be able to be later on the brakes? Defensive move up ahead? No. Loving
this fighting. They're going at it hard but fair. Shows that even though we haven't had too many pauses for the lead, what we have seen are some good battles backwards. Let's have a look then at what happened to Luke Daniels in that incident as we grab a look at your RaceSpotTV replay. Down into turn 1. Oh! Synchronized spinning.
I don't think they could do that again if they tried there, Arjuna. That was just a dual error, as it were.
So maybe they bottom out the car. I think that's likely the most likely scenario.
Yep.
Yeah, you can just see. And now let's see if we can go to Tyler Graf. Does Graf get mixed up in this, or is it something else that happens to the 98 through turn 1? He comes, there's a car in the middle of the road, and he doesn't realize it until it's too late, and that is a big old smash, and another car flipping end over end.
And you hate to see that for Tyler. He was working his way back through the field after those early incidents. And Tyler, just didn't see it. A little bit of smoke in the way and bounce, and he goes for a big ride.
Let's also be fair to Tyler. It's not like you expect the other car to be stationary like that. It was Chris Staples, who you can see is stationary for a while. Yeah. What more can you say?
Exactly, Arjuna, exactly.
A picture is worth 1,000 words. What's a video worth then?
1,000,000?
I like it. Exponentially greater, isn't it?
Just a little bit.
And I guess the longer the video, the more words it's worth. Back at the front, 410 splits the top 2. O'Brien and Valiokis now really have scampered away from Chris Reagan, who's 2 seconds adrift. Last time by, lost almost half a second to your race leader. But still faster than the group behind him. David Sirois is about 1.9, maybe 2 seconds away from those in front. Or those behind, I should say. Morgan now coming under fire again from the likes of Rasmus, Taylor, Chris Fowler, David Rodriguez, Richie Hearn. There's some separation, though, outside the top 10. Alex Guyon has Lionel Calisto hunting him down, but they're 4.5 seconds away from Richie Hearn up the road.
Yeah, Richie doing a good job here holding on to that top 10 position as we follow here with those drivers in the 08 working his way around.
That was the Candyman. Yes, it was.
It was.
My word, another car.
At that tricky turn 9 that I talked about, Arjuna, it will catch you out if you are not careful. You really have to have constant vigilance around that corner.
You remember what happened at the end of Homestead, DJ, when they were all basically dropping like flies?
Feels like it's happening here early in the race.
There you go. Stole the words from my mouth. It really does feel like instead of waiting to the end, they're starting this thing off with plenty of excitement. Isaac Snyder, by the way, is down on pit lane. Not sure exactly what's happened to him. Let's see what happened to the Candyman as he comes through up the hill. Oh, that car's already very sideways.
And that's just a matter of putting a little bit too much throttle into it early. Did he catch the grass? Nope. Just too much throttle input with a little bit too much wheel put in, and that torque on the rear wheels will send that car spinning around.
So my question for you is it possible as well that he tried shifting down and that's what broke traction at the rear?
Could be that as well.
Looking then at this grouping as they try and close on Reagan. Sirois not being allowed to drop those behind him. Technically, we are in the pit stop window. Remember, 3 laps of caution. And O'Brien, I think, has made a mistake. Race leader, Valiukas once more.
Yes, he does. He is back into the lead here around Michael O'Brien, and he is going to try to pull away. Let's take a look at this replay. Was this a mistake from O'Brien? Yep, through tricky turn 9.
Now, he's got crash on the side of his car. Fortunately, this was not a crash this time around. A little bit different to what we saw from Wardlow, where Wardlow had much more sideways, but O'Brien was already drifting up high in recognition that the car was snapping loose. At the end of the day, though, good car control. He holds on to second. Those tires might just be screaming out a little bit, warmed up a little bit through the slide.
Yeah, they certainly could be. He may have to spend a lap or two trying to cool them back down here. You can really do that in these longer endurance-type tires. You really spend some time working down those temperatures.
Chaotic start to the season. I think that's the way it's been. New Hampshire was a little bit more sedate at times, but it still had its plenty of chaos and carnage going on here. If this bodes well for the rest of the season, I mean, we've got many road courses in this first half. We're going to Brands Hatch in a couple of weeks, Phillip Island before then. We'll close out the first half of the season with the Hungaro Ring. My word, we're in for a treat.
We certainly are, and Phillip Island is going to be a track where we are going to be talking about tires. The rear tires there in particular take a big beating around that circuit. Brands Hatch, very similar in styles, very old school in the way that it drives, very similar to Watkins Glen. Not normally one that's known for a lot of passing on it, but I certainly think if it's presenting any sort of a race like we're seeing here today, we're going to be in for a real treat.
Let's grab the opportunity to have a quick word with Tyler Groff in that 98 car. Tyler, difficult start to the race after that crash that you've had, which has seen you out of the race. Talk to us, though, first, before we talk about that, about the call to come down and pit during the caution that we had.
Yeah, I was going to make it on one stop. It was going to jump me quite a bit, and I was making up ground. I think it was going to work. I'd saved enough under caution, too, but I think it was going to work. It was probably going to jump me maybe to the back half of the top 5-ish, maybe, at the most, but obviously we won't know.
And then that incident just completely unsighted there?
Yeah, I was behind, I think it was Scott Holmes, and I was behind him, and I came out of the corner, and I see his back wing, and I see a car next on the right, so I'm watching the car on the right to make sure he doesn't move. And then all of a sudden, Holmes swerves to get around the crashed car, and then I didn't know there was a second car there, so I guess that's just one of those deals.
Unfortunate, Tyler, but we'll see you next week for some more Retro Series action as we head for our first Triple Crown at Pocono.
See ya.
Bad start, or bad day, I should say, for Tyler Groff, but again, we get the opportunity to get up and go once more. First Triple Crown of the season. Up front, it's close. O'Brien's managed to get his tires back into the window, DJ, and in the draft once more.
Yeah, he certainly is. He was able to close down about 0.07 of a second on that last lap, but 0.3 of a second on lap 17. He's looking particularly strong here in the opening sectors of the lap where that draft is really significant. Really closing it down here. He's got it under 0.2, Arjuna.
Yeah, and the 23 goes defensive, covering the inside. Now, is O'Brien hanging back? Is O'Brien just trying to tuck into the draft and sweep out at the last possible minute? There's the indication. O'Brien holds station for the time being as they look to fight behind in that peloton that's chasing him down. Taylor gets in front of Razmas, title competitors last year. And all three of the title competitors now running in the order that they finished. Morgan in front of Taylor, in front of Razmas. Oh, it's a shame that Morgan's not doing the full season, but this reflects nicely and makes me remember rather, great fun that we had last season. Yeah, it started as Sage Karam domination, but we really ended with a fantastic fight to the championship and closest ever Lionheart championship finish.
Yeah, indeed we did, and thus far it's looking like we could be seeing 3 races with 3 different winners, so we could be in for another incredibly close championship like that once again. By the way, getting the first drivers indicating that they're pitting David Rodriguez and I believe Richie Hearn.
Here comes Valiocas, here comes O'Brien. In fact, here comes basically everyone at the front. Only cars that aren't coming, there you see Taylor, Razmas, and Fowler. So 2 of the MadWorks Motorsports cars will stay out there, sandwiching the Graphics LC 68 points leading Mike Razmas. But onto pit lane, right at that magic 20-lap marker. I think they can make it from here.
I was kind of thinking the same thing here, Arjuna, that there's a chance they may be able to one-stop this. They're just going to have to save a little bit of more fuel. Oh, that's a slow stop for Valiocas.
I think he's taking tires. I think maybe he's made, or maybe he sped on pit lane. There's 2 possibilities here, as the rest of the field is up and gone.
Indeed they are, but the big gainer out of that obviously was O'Brien, now able to pull himself into the lead. My goodness, yeah, Valiocas still on pit lane.
He got a penalty. He got a speeding penalty. Remember, no pit speed limiters in these cars, and the first Lionheart Retro Series win for Marius Valiocas has fallen away just like that.
Oh my goodness, and now Michael O'Brien working on about a 2-second lead for what we assume will be the lead. So you can see here, this is Valiocas coming down pit lane.
Yeah.
Just didn't get it woed down enough.
You can see as well that he was trying desperately, and that run down into his box would have been heartbreaking, to put it mildly. My, oh my. Taylor, Fowler, and Razmas coming this time around. They are guaranteed to make it to the end from here. Where will they feed out in comparison to O'Brien, who has the luxury now of being able to run to a number to get him to the end of the race? Here come those cars onto pit lane, as here comes O'Brien working himself through the final corner. About a 9-second pit stop for the drivers that pitted last time around. See on the left side of your screen, 8.4 for some of the cars, 8.9, excuse me, for Fowler, who will roll out alongside his MadWorks Motorsports teammate. They try and make it a MadWorks 1, 2, and 3. Not going to end like that. Reagan will get second as a result of that cycle. Taylor's dropped back to 5th, but Fowler, the big gainer there, he's up to 3rd.
Yes, he is, but he is under attack right now from David Sirois, as Sirois is going to try to make this work around the outside, going down into the outer loop.
He's got the draft of Reagan as well. It will help him to get in front. Inches between them as they sweep into the corner. Morgan has a great view of the action as he sits in the popcorn seat. And again, Fowler on the outside loses a bit of momentum, but Sirois doesn't fight it too hard. He gives that position up, knows there's still a long way to go to the end here.
Yes, he does, and I wonder there if that's a little bit of, whoa, that was a late move for Matt Taylor.
Sirois gave him the room, though, and conceded the position. That was, let's say, courteous driving. He'll try and get the up and under, gets the momentum off of that cambered in corner and holds on to the spot. Now Taylor defends from Morgan. Former teammates, former title challengers. Status quo remains, though, as looks like O'Brien is actually holding his pace very slightly. Last time around was a 55.459 compared to a 54.999 for Reagan. Gap down to 1.5. I think he's mindful of the fuel.
I think he is too, and you hit the nail on the head. That
Fowler's coming back in.
Oh!
And so is Razmas. Have they sped on the pit road exit here?
They must have, Arjuna. They must have.
Confirmation that at the very least Fowler has managed to do that, and confirm as well Razmas has that pit road penalty too.
Oh my goodness, pit lane being the story of this race here early on, as we've got a little bit more side by side though.
It's Taylor and Sirois now fighting for what is a podium spot. 3rd step on the podium. Taylor gets in front with that draft. 1.7 back from Reagan in front of them. The more they fight, the less chance they'll have of fighting with those cars. O'Brien is really holding his pace right now. 35.1 last time compares to a 35.6 for Reagan. clearly mindful that maybe he won't make it to the end.
I think that's it, and he's now having to work his way around George Anzaldo as well, lapped car, so that's going to slow him down even more.
And that gap down to 0.3 of a second.
I wonder here, Arjuna, if the strategy for O'Brien is to actually let Reagan on by and be able to save some fuel in the draft.
See, I know what you mean, but he also has to be mindful because Taylor is the one that could spring the surprise. Inside the top 11, only one car pitted 1 lap later, and it is that number 8 machine.
That's a very good point. This could get very, very interesting as they dive their way through the 90. I'm going to have to be running some numbers here, which is never a good thing to be doing.
Never trust the commentator's math. I will say, you don't usually expect road races to become a fuel mileage game, and that's in effect what we have right now.
Yes, it is in the 2 distinct packs here with Taylor, Surwa, and Morgan behind them, although Morgan popping out behind there, maybe trying a little bit of a move. Is he going to try to go to the inside? Looks like he's not able to get it done.
Oh, no, he did. He's in front of Surwa now. So, and this group now only 1 second off Reagan, so they're in the draft too.
Well, and remember here, Taylor, as you said, pitted that lap later, so if he can just charge here, if our math is right that he's good on fuel, that means he's going to be able to just absolutely book it.
So let's grab this look at Fowler off of pit road. Now, we won't get an indication of the speed, at least an absolute number, but you can see he doesn't really rev up until he gets to that line. I do think he was concerned about beating Taylor out, though.
Yeah, and with the no pit speed limiter, it's just all down to your right foot to regulate that pedal, and you can just be a little bit over it. iRacing does allow a little bit of leniency here and there, but you just step over the line on it, and it will come back to bite you.
Fascinating race so far. Let's quickly, if we can, dial towards this man Lionel Kalisto and take a look at our Moser Racing driver profile. 44 starts. His first race was actually back here in season 3, so that's what, 3 odd years ago now. 26 top 10s, 8 top 5s, a solitary win. Where? At Pocono 2 years ago, the place that we're going next, the first Triple Crown of the season.
And Lionel there will be hoping to recreate some of that magic as he comes up behind the lap car of George Anzaldo. You can see the little bit of damage there on George's machine. Lionel just keeping his head down, running a good top 10 race here.
It's what sometimes you need to do. Kalisto was quick on the streets of Long Beach in last week's Lionheart IndyCar race there. The HyperX Grand Prix of Long Beach. The top 5 split by 1.3. Here comes Taylor. He knows he's good on fuel as he tries to get to the inside of Chris Reagan. Who's your money on here, DJ? If you had to be bold, which horse are you going to choose to back?
It's got to be Taylor. Taylor doesn't have to worry about fuel. He's able to go completely all the way here. That's where my money is.
What a fight we're in for. 37 took to the green, 27 are still running. Watkins Glen has claimed plenty of victims, most recently cars on pit lane, Marius Valiocas, Chris Fowler, and Mike Rasmussen. You're watching the ButtKicker Grand Prix at the Glen, presented by Moser Racing. The last 10 laps coming up next.
With the ButtKicker Gamer 2, what you see And what you hear is what you feel. ButtKicker. The future is feeling.
Welcome back to RaceSpotTV and 2022 Lionheart Retro Series coverage. We're in upstate New York for the ButtKicker Grand Prix at the Glen in what has been a thrilling race so far with safety cars, fuel strategy, and on-track action. My name is Arjuna Kankipati. Alongside in your RaceSpotTV commentary booth is DJ Clark. And DJ Matt Taylor has found his way past Chris Reagan. It's a 1-2 for MadWorks Motorsports, but you can tell Matt Taylor wants to move forward.
Yeah, he certainly does, and he has been closing that gap down to the leader, Michael O'Brien, here by tenths every lap, just pulling in as much as possible. And remember, as we said before the break, Taylor take a pit stop on a later lap. Here comes the move.
Now will the teammates fall into fuel-saving formation? A lap ago, O'Brien defended, and he won't defend as hard this time, but again, he sweeps the momentum into the corner. We'll try and pinch Taylor down low. Taylor doesn't get the move done. Reagan closes up as well. 5 cars all with a chance of victory. Next time by, 10 laps to go.
And I think here for Taylor, this is just focusing in on the high percentage moves. He doesn't want to try to do anything that is going to jeopardize either of their races. He needs to find the opportunity. He needs to time the draft coming out of the 90 and up through the S's to absolute perfection.
Let's get a look at the replay of something that happened just before we went to break. Oh, the bad day continues for Marius Valioka. Says that's Craig Forsyth that has nowhere to go, and he's the one that actually will take the brunt of the impact there. You can see the car getting loose. We'll jump on board, jump a little bit further back to ride around with the 53 machine, who was having a really good, solid day. Traction stepping out, rear end stepping out, and nothing the blue and white could do.
No, that's a little bit of wrong case, wrong time there for Craig Forsyth, and very unfortunate there for him. And the former leader is, that is Taylor running a little bit wide out of the 90.
Grab a look rearwards from O'Brien as they climb up the hill. 120 feet of elevation change from the bottom of the S's to the top. It's a slight incline, though, as you run yourself down this long back straightaway. Taylor tucks down to the inside, but he doesn't have draft. Did he pop out too early? I think that's what we're seeing. He's got to wait just a little more patiently. No, he gets the move done, and Reagan tries to slip it down the inside.
That was a gutsy move there from Reagan. That could have been a little bit of teammate communication between O'Brien and Taylor, and I think Reagan just saw the opportunity and went to pick the pocket of Michael O'Brien.
That's not what you want to see if you're Taylor. A teammate no longer defending your rear quarter panel. Reagan will have a chance to close. 4 of the cars in the top 5, all pitted 1 lap earlier. As DJ mentioned, it's only Taylor that is likely feeling confident on the fuel.
Indeed, and those 4 cars are all the ones that are not leading right now. We ride on board with David Siroff for that Raven Lavelle Motorsports machine. Trying to take that car. You can see the multitude of lines there. Everybody just scrambling for grip coming over turn 9.
Through the corner they come. Sirwa content to ride where he's been. He's lost a spot from where he qualified. But overall, not a bad day. Not a bad day at all. 7/10 as they plunge down the hill into the 90. Can no longer shoot off wide at that particular corner. We've seen, for example, though, at turn 9, plenty of cars doing that. Up the hill once more. Taylor's gone about 7-8 car lengths clear. Nice little separation that he's built between him and those behind.
Yes, he has, but it's starting to fall down a little bit here, under half a second as they work their way past what would be the inner loop and into the outer loop now. I think for Reagan, he has got to just be managing fuel consumption as well as trying to close in as close as possible to Taylor.
4/10 as they come down into the boot. Will be 8 laps to go next time around. Taylor, I think, is in control. First time we've had on-track passes for the lead here at Watkins Glen. In 5 previous years, just 2 lead changes, all through strategy, all in one race 12 months ago. The Sage Karam domination comes to an end today, as it looks like Chris Fowler, after that pit road penalty, tries to recover up into 13th. He'll get past Robert Mikes.
Yes, he will. Good moves there. We know that number 20 machine has plenty of speed in it, but he's going to have about 6 seconds to try to clear up to Dustin Wardlow ahead of him.
Don't know if that's going to be possible. Rasmus, the other car with a penalty back in this group of cars, is 1.1 back from Mikes. See if that switches around as off of pit lane. Here comes Breck Accord, who's right into a fight with Luis Gonzalez Nunez. Suboptimal, to quote Lewis McClade, because your tires, even though you're not taking new tires, aren't really in the window. They've cooled down very slightly, won't be at the right pressures. The 51 car goes out wide and gets on pass for 24th position. O'Brien closes on Reagan out front as they work themselves towards that gaggle of traffic.
And it doesn't sound like, I was just riding on board with Chris Reagan, it does not sound like he is saving all that much fuel. He was very much keeping it pinned. I think he is hoping here that this lap traffic up ahead in the form of Brett Accord and Luis Gonzalez Nunez will cause a little bit of trouble for our leader, Matt Taylor.
Nice and tidy. Looks like Accord is going to stay out of the way there. 1 goes past, 2 goes past, 3 goes past just in the blink of an eye. Nice and easy done by that 51 car. I think made a mistake to let Gonzalez Nunez get past him and try and clear away very slightly. They round themselves back up onto the regular part of the Watkins Glen road course. I think Taylor getting a little bit squirrely. That gap down to 2.5 tenths of a second.
Yeah, he got very squirrely, a little bit of oversteer that he had to catch coming out of turn 9. That's going to bring that gap down to under a half a second. As you said, Arjuna, that's the closest we've seen. But he is going to pick up a little bit of draft here potentially from Luis Gonzalez Nunez, depending on how they each take the 90.
Good run out for Taylor, but a good run for Reagan as well as we jump on board with that 19 machine and climb our way up through the S's. Nunez might be in a position to help just one of these cars. Will he let off the throttle and make life easy for the entire of the lead group? 1 goes past. I don't know if more than 2 will get past here. It might be some separation, and indeed there will be.
Oh, that is not good for Chris Reagan. He has got to be on there and try to getting by as quickly as possible. There you see the sudden juke trying to get around him.
It's always easier to let people pass on a nice long straight, and Nunez has now had to let those 4 cars trying to chase down Taylor go. As into the heel they'll come once more. 7 to go, 10 minutes left in this race. It's Taylor's to lose.
It is indeed, and through those last couple of sectors, though, he was only able to gain about 2.5 tenths over Chris Reagan. That is not going to be enough to break the draft coming up out of the 90 and through the S's. Let's see if he has another little bobble here. Able to keep things nice and together through turn 9 this time around was Matt Taylor.
Here we go. A little bit wide comes Reagan. I think bit by bit, Taylor's being able to stretch away just that little bit. Maybe open the door for O'Brien to work himself into second. Remember, MadWorks Motorsports 1, 2, and 3 at some points during our season opener. 1 by 1, they fell by the wayside. This time, 2 cars inside the top 3. Chris Fowler, without that pit road penalty, would have been in the mix as well. And here comes, from the land down under, or at least that region down under, because you don't want to conflate New Zealand and Australia, here comes Michael O'Brien.
Indeed, and by the way, just for the record, is there he pops out to the inside. Here comes O'Brien.
Nicely done, but Taylor not giving him the draft to aid him. I'm a bit surprised, if I'm being completely honest, with that one. Taylor now has a teammate for company. O'Brien does a great job of sliding up into the path of Reagan and taking back second away from that 19 machine.
Indeed, a great move there from Michael O'Brien. And for anybody wondering, by the way, Matt Taylor set the fastest lap of the race last time out, so there is nothing but push in that number 8 up ahead.
Bias ply tires designed to go the length of the race. The car will become a rocket ship the lower the fuel level, but increasingly difficult to handle the lighter it gets.
Indeed, that's why we saw that big moment out of your leader, Matt Taylor, coming through turn 9 earlier. He's got to be very, very careful. It's still only 0.7 of a second as they work their way through turn 10. He has got to make sure to constantly be on it. This is the danger zone in terms of losing the car. It's so light at this point, it just wants to step out on you at every moment.
We ride on board with a ButtKicker onboard camera and your defending series champion on a part-time schedule. Remember, since he's not fighting for points, I don't think he's going to force the issue too much here, DJ. The last thing he wants to do is to affect the championship hunt.
Yeah, exactly. At the end of the day, Aaron Morgan is one of the better competitors and one of the best sportsmen in Lionheart. He does not want to affect too much, although it looks like David Serrois may be having a little bit of a look on him. But will we see a little bit of a pass for the lead, or is this some team tactics up in front?
I think just Serrois realizing that the gap out front is starting to stretch. Now 0.6 between Reagan and O'Brien as Chris Fowler down the inside at turn 1. Nice and easily going to get past Rodrigo Munoz in that 09 car, on for a great finish in that Backfire Motorsports Lotus 79. Back towards the front though, this is where all eyes are focused. 5 to go, 4 next time past. Oh no! Oh! You've got to feel for the man that put it on pole and controlled until the cycle of pit stops. The day has just gone downhill from there.
Yeah, it certainly has for the 23. Marius Valiokas just having more and more problems. Ooh, a little bit of a twitch there from Matt Taylor coming off the exit of the corner.
Let's take a look at what happened to that RSR by ButtKicker car if we can. I think going to be a bit of deja vu. Grounds, no, maybe there's some grounding, but I think he was a bit loose before he got to the corner itself.
I think it's a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B there, Arjuna. I think both of the things definitely played into that spin.
Brett Accord, is that an issue as well, unfortunately, for that 51 car that we saw come out of pit road recently. But up the hill, here comes the momentum. Teammates, what's rule number 1 when racing with a teammate, DJ? Don't hit them.
Don't hit your teammate, but the rule of Roger Penske is in the last 10 laps, all bets are off.
And I get the sense that O'Brien has saved enough fuel, stays in line for the time being, but I don't think this is the lap you want to pass. Maybe with 2 to go, likely with 1 to go. Serrois doesn't get past Morgan just yet as well. What a race it's been. Still have a potential grandstand finish on the cards.
Yeah, we certainly do come into 3 to go at the line. O'Brien, I like, frankly, the decision there to just keep himself behind in that way. It kind of may be getting into the head of Matt Taylor if he knows that he's got that speed from behind to really be able to come up and charge.
Let's check out what happened to that 51 coming off over the crest of the hill. Not the first time we'll have seen an incident here, and yeah, it's on the power, using almost 500 horses in the tank. Spins it around. That's more damage to the 51 car.
Yes, it is. So an unfortunate thing for the 51. Focusing back on the lead. Gap expanding to about 0.5 of a second between Taylor and O'Brien. It looked like O'Brien lost a little bit of time through the final 2 sectors.
Down the hill. 3 to go. Taylor versus O'Brien. Reagan, 0.8 back from second. I don't think's in the mix here. Not close enough, I think, is O'Brien to have a look this time by. He's got to get a better run out of turn number 1.
Yeah, he really does. He's not close enough to be able to do it. I'll tell you, though, who it might be close enough. Sirwan's going to take a look down to the inside.
Wants to get past Morgan for fourth, and those are valuable points for someone looking to try and look towards a championship run. Morgan, though, not going to make life easy, as you would think he wouldn't as well. That's what fierce competitors like to do. Getting word, by the way, that another car that had an issue in pit lane has had an issue out on track, and oh, it's the third of the MadWorks Motorsports cars. It's Chris Fowler, and it's almost a mirror incident of what happened to Accord, except this time on the power a little bit later, spins a little bit later, but it's the same end result. Wrong way around, losing track position.
Losing track position, but it doesn't look like he damaged the front wing of that car, so he should be okay to be able to continue on here and not have too much damage. It will bump him down the order, obviously, and he'll lose some points. He'll be riding around in 14th right now.
2 to go. Taylor 4/10 clear. If O'Brien gets the run this time, he is in drafting range, but you see some lap traffic, which will play a factor as well. Fastest lap punched in by Michael O'Brien. He's got the afterburner set to maximum attack. I think that's Craig Forsyth. That's going to be the traffic that's maybe not going to help out Taylor as much as he would have liked. O'Brien closes. Does he close quick enough?
He's closing in. He's using that draft as much as possible. I like that strategy there from Michael O'Brien. He's not going to be able to get it done here. He's going to have one more shot through the outer loop.
I said maybe 2 to go. I think 1 to go is the magic number. Now, will they have traffic? That's the big thing to worry about. There's one car, one of the Backfire Motorsports machines, as the Candyman has had to come down to pit road.
I wonder if he underfueled it there, Arjuna.
Now, do you get worried if you're any of these cars in the lead train? Maybe this is why Reagan has backed it down. 1.5 now back from second.
It could be, but the way that we've seen here Michael O'Brien driving, whoo, big bit of opposite lock there for Michael O'Brien coming through turn 9. Is that going to cost him?
Hugo Gallas in front. Through the final corner for the penultimate time. Will it be hero or zero for Matt Taylor, who leads to the white flag? Gallas gets out of the way. O'Brien is closer than he's been the last couple of laps. A good run here sets him up into that right-hand sweeper of the outer loop. Loses a touch of momentum, but now picks it back up. Hole in the air being punched by Matt Taylor as they come up the S's for the final time. This is where you've got to make some magic happen.
Oh, he's got a great run. He's going for the move.
O'Brien versus Taylor. Teammates side by side on the final lap of your ButtKicker Grand Prix at the Glen. Outside line gives you the momentum. Taylor holds on for now.
He does, but will the gloves truly come off here behind his... Whoa, big slide from Matt Taylor.
Wrangles the car back into submission, but a couple more opportunities through the boot for Michael O'Brien to get on past. Looks like David Rodriguez and Richie Hearn scrapping on this final lap too.
Indeed they are. I said you can get a pass done here into turn 8 if you want to. Doesn't look like O'Brien's going to go for it this time though.
Turn 9, is that an opportunity? Not really, and the final couple of corners, not an option as well. Taylor has just 3 more corners to hold on. He survives one of them safely. What a day it has been here. Plenty of fighting for the leaders. Morgan and Sirwa going neck and neck as well. But at the front of your field, it's the man that missed out on the championship on countback. He roars back with his 5th Lionheart Retro Series victory. Matt Taylor wins the ButtKicker Grand Prix at the Glen, presented by Moser Racing. Give a shout out as well to David Sirwa, who threw those final couple of corners, pipped Aaron Morgan to get up into 4th. What a day and what a race. DJ, road course racing, the Lotus 79. It's a match made in heaven.
It doesn't get much better than this, Arjuna, especially when we have to start factoring in fuel strategy and all of that. Absolutely incredible stuff. This is exactly what Lionheart has come to deliver.
And take a breath. For the first time in 37 laps, take a breath. get ready to do it 7 days from now, because we'll be heading to the Tricky Triangle, where the Pocono Raceway will play host to our first Triple Crown of the season. Incredible, incredible stuff. I tell you what, let's make sure that we make sure to go and grab a look at what happened with the man who slithered his way up into fourth. Let's see what happened with David Sirois and Aaron Morgan.
Did he get him coming through turn 9? Let's watch this. A little bit of a better line there for Sirois. Caught a little bit of the grass, did Aaron Morgan. Morgan tried to cut him down. Sirois just sold him a little bit of a dummy and went the long way around 10.
That is why these alternate track limits are a fan with the drivers, maybe not so much with those in race control. It's not the first time, by the way, that Michael O'Brien has lost out on a road course victory to a teammate. You think back to the streets of Long Beach, to Road America, where he put it on pole, and both times Aaron Morgan was able to pip him to victory. This time around, though, it is Matt Taylor. The last time Matt Taylor won was at the Worldwide Technology Raceway. All 3 of his victories in 2021 came on the ovals. You have to be adaptable in this championship, DJ, to win the title. A good start for Taylor, as in race 3, he wins on a road course.
Indeed, and now, as you said, we head to an oval that it's often said races like a road course, so Matt Taylor may be one to watch out for when we get there next time, but not taking anything away from Matt from this victory. Absolutely incredible stuff there for the number 8. Being able to save fuel when he needed to, being able to put the power down when he needed to, just incredible.
Now let's grab a look at your SimRace 24/7 race results. 37 laps, interrupted by one single caution before we got the first green flag lap, under our belt. Matt Taylor wins here for the 5th time in his Retro Series career. It's a 1-2 for MadWorks Motorsports. Might have been a 1-2-3 if not for a penalty on pit lane for Chris Fowler. Chris Reagan, though, rounds out the podium positions. He will be delighted with that performance. Great pace shown from him, maybe saving some fuel to the end of the race. David Sirois in 4th, Aaron Morgan in 5th, both of them where they qualified, while David Rodriguez and Richie Hearn had a slobber knocker of a fight all the way to the end, but Rodriguez in that 10 car winning there and holding on to the lead in the Rookie of the Year points standings. Lionel Callisto makes his way up 6 positions into 8th, but give a round of applause to Alex Guyon, who survived the carnage, survived the chaos, 12 spots gained, up into 9th in that 08 machine. Ricky Harden completes the top 10, while down in 11th, Rodrigo Munoz, best finished this season and indeed of his career. He'll be thrilled with that. Recovery drive for Chris Fowler only gets him into 12th position. Mike Rasmas 13th with Bobby Mikes, 14th. Another car making himself up double-digit gains. Scott Holmes, 10 positions of gain for him. Your pole sitter, Marius Valiokis, showed the performance that we expect from him. But luck doesn't always shine your direction, and for the first time, pole position does not enter HyperX victory lane. Mike Rigney in 17th with Cristobal Valenzuela 18th, Dustin Wardlow 19th, and Brian Hoffman completing the top 20. Adam Young, Will Gibson, the final cars on the lead lap, while 1 lap down, Hugo Gallis, Luis Gonzalez, Nunez, Brett Accord, and George Anzaldo all playing their part as lap traffic for the leaders to work through. Craig Forsyth 2 laps down on his own, with then getting to the retirement list, which includes the likes of Isaac Snyder, Luke Daniels, Tyler Groff, Chris Staples, Trevor Malone, Adam Frazier, Matthew Schofield, Chris Lanini, Jim Herrick, and Danny Roberts. 3 cars not making it past the opening couple of laps of the race. And that leads us then into our HyperX post-race show, because the Lionheart Racing Series is powered by HyperX, makers of premier gaming gear like the legendary ultra-comfortable cloud line of gaming headsets. Whatever you play, however you play, HyperX knows that we're all gamers. For more information on HyperX products, visit hyperx.com. And waiting for us in HyperX victory lane for the 5th time in his Lionheart Retro Series career is Matt Taylor. Matt, you were quick during practice, but it didn't come easy. Started on the outside of the front row, slid backwards from there, and fought your way forward. The strategy helped you there. How delighted are you right now on top of the world?
I am thrilled finally grab a win on a road course, especially after the way last season ended. I was really struggling on pace, and I think this adjustment bias has given me back what I was badly missing. That surprise caution was not great. I was committed to a heavy fuel save to do that on one stop and felt like I could do it comfortably. When that caution came out, I was extremely worried that put everybody else in the window, and I knew how hard it was going to be to. It turns out that fuel save was exactly what I needed still, so I'm thrilled.
Hasn't been an easy start to the season for you, and even for the team, MadWorks Motorsports, but now, I mean, after running 1, 2, and 3 at the start of the season until one by one issues seem to come and find you guys. This was a great run. If Chris Fowler didn't have his pit road penalty, he would have been in there in the mix as well. What's it like no longer having Aaron Morgan, but bringing Chris Fowler into this three-man effort now?
You know, it's fun. It's another guy with a different perspective. He's got really good pace. He wasn't there last season on the road courses, but he seems he's definitely picked it up, and he's obviously really strong at the oval, snagging his first win. We've got a really strong team. I think, as you mentioned, running 1, 2, 3 at the start, we just haven't had the finishes, or we haven't gone with that right strategy with the changes to the tires. I think as the season goes on, I wouldn't be shocked if we swept the podium in one of these races.
Well, I definitely would not bet against that. And, you know, going to the championship as well, it was so close last year. Not the easiest start, but I think this settles the nerves. How are you feeling about the rest of this campaign?
This is good. Last season, I was very strong on the ovals, and that's really where I made my points. If I can make up the pace on the road courses and be stronger there, I won't be as worried. I was really worried last week after giving up a good finish at Homestead and giving up a good finish at New Hampshire, where I've been really good. This gives me a lot of confidence moving forward.
Congratulations, Matt. Great victory for you. Great day for the team as well. We'll see you 7 days from now for our first Triple Crown of the season.
Thank you so much, guys.
And from Matt Taylor to his fellow teammate at MadWorks Motorsports, it is Michael O'Brien. And Michael, I hate to start it on a somewhat negative note. It's another road course race where you lose out to a teammate. You must be getting sick of it now.
So close. At least it's to a teammate. And yeah, Matt was super quick all week in practice. Yeah.
Talk to us about that second stint. It looks like you were doing a bit of fuel saving. You fell behind Chris, were able to get the pass. How close do you think you were to getting past your teammate for the victory, though?
Yeah, that safety car really changed everything, because I was doing a two-stop from the start, and so I wasn't saving at all at the start of the race. Yeah, I knew I couldn't save the whole extra lap in that first stint, so I just went flat out and then saved in the second stint. Yeah, I had no fuel issues at the end there with Matt, so I was racing. I tried.
You threw it at the kitchen sink, that's for sure. Talk to us quickly about this new road model as well. We had at the end of last season, we had a struggle to see some fights for the lead, but this is the first time we've had actual passes and actual fights for the lead at Watkins Glen in 6 years of coming here. It seems like it's turned a corner. Maybe you guys have figured something out. Maybe the setups have taken a step forward as well. Great race today.
Yeah, I know Matt absolutely hated the new tyre model when it first came out. I didn't have too much of a problem with it, but yeah, there's some little different ways of changing the way you drive that make it work alright, and I think we're all getting the hang of it. The whole team was super fast. Chris would have been up there with us too, without his penalty.
Absolutely. Congratulations on the 1-2. Maybe would have been a 1-2-3 if not for that mistake, and we'll see you 7 days from now for our first Triple Crown.
Thanks, Arjuna.
Michael O'Brien, second position for, I think it's now the third time in a row on a road course. Hate to talk about the negatives, but plenty of positives to take away as well. But now to the final step of the podium. Chris Reagan fought hard, and he's standing by with DJ Clark.
He is indeed, Chris. A fiercely fought battle there where you were attacking and defending. That looked like a fantastic race for you in the 19.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was phenomenal. I've had some very bad luck. The very first race, I spun on my own, just the car was loose. The second race, got rear-ended into pits. So I told Richie, my teammate, I'm like, man, we just need points. And I practiced all week. I did every single practice race. And I just wanted to make sure I could run good, consistent, decently quick laps. And yeah, man, I am thrilled for that podium finish right there.
Well, it looked like you were dropping off a little bit of the end of O'Brien and Taylor there at the end. Were you doing a little bit of fuel saving in that second stint, or were you fuel saving in the first?
So I didn't really fuel save at all, to be honest. That caution, we normally don't get those. That kind of threw me off. I was already from practice, I've already accepted the fact it was a 2-stop for me. And but when the caution came out, I'm like, all right, I can push. And then when we pitted under green, I was right with O'Brien. So like just for 2 laps, going down the long straight, I just kind of sat behind him and played it safe just to make sure I had enough. And then after that, I just kind of kept driving. But I got to give all the credit. I mean, O'Brien, Taylor, I mean, some of the guys, well, I mean, there's a lot of guys in the league, but man, they are so fast. I was telling Richie, I'm like, dude, I'm doing everything I can in the draft, and they're pulling from me. So they're just good.
Well, obviously, we head to Pocono next, and that's got to have some good memories for you. A podium position there. Are you looking forward to it? Can we expect anything good from you?
You know what's funny about Pocono is I really don't enjoy it. But it was my very first podium. I got third there 2 years ago. Last year, I got second with an awesome battle with Mark Cohn, and I got that watch. So thank you, Mark Cohn. But yeah, I just go into it. I'm like, well, it's Pocono, and I just get lucky. I don't do anything special there, but you know, hopefully if things keep going the way they were, well, we'll be right back up there again.
Well, we wish you all the luck in the world, and we'll see you in a week, Chris.
Awesome. I just want to say thank you, George, for putting on the league. And, you know, I loved the race tonight with, you know, all the guys. It was super clean. It was super fun. This is definitely probably the best league out there as far as good, clean, close racing. So thanks, everybody.
Another podium to add to the tally for Chris Reagan, who did finish 4th position both at Phillip Island and Mid-Ohio last year. Clearly has got that road course speed. But we're done at Watkins Glen, and we look forward to the thing that we've been talking about so much today. We'll go to the legacy version of the Pocono Speedway. A little bit bumpier, a little bit more difficult through turn 1, but 3 corners, 3 very different corners, and a Triple Crown race means something in the energy, something in the intensity, DJ, goes up. You can speak all about that.
It really does. When you get to those Triple Crowns, you feel the excitement, and it's not just because we put the title Triple Crown on them, but because Pocono is one of those circuits that just elicits that response from you. It is an intense track, and you drive around there and you feel a sense of grandeur about it. It is a track that is fantastic to drive. It is a fantastic place to race at, and it is one of my favorite circuits on the schedule, Arjuna.
And think back to what we saw last year. 7 thousandths of a second. One of the closest finishes, the 4th closest finish, in fact, that we've ever had in series history. Only closer finish that we had last year was at one of our other Triple Crown races, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, both won by Mark Cohn. Reagan missing out at Pocono, coming in 2nd. Chris Fowler missing out at Indianapolis. Will they be back looking for vengeance? Well, you have to join us to find out. Same time, same place, a week from today. One final look at our next level racing schedule, though, DJ, because our first road course has been exhilarating. We have Phillip Island, Brands Hatch, and the Hungaroring still in this first half of the season. The back half will see us go to the streets of Long Beach, to our doubleheader in the Land of the Rising Sun. We'll go to the Motegi Road Course as well, which is such an underrated track if you ask me. Then Montreal and Road America at the tail end of the season. We love that we take this Lotus 79, which wasn't designed to go oval racing, and make that a focus as well. But we see why this car is such a legendary machine in open-wheel folklore.
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, you saw it here today. The pictures and the video that you saw, it speaks louder than anything we can say about it. Fantastic racing up and down the field, and it is a car that will step out and bite you, and it takes the most experienced of drivers to be able to tame it.
And again, look at this schedule, jot down the dates. 2 races in April. We'll get at least a little bit of a break between what has been a frantic start to the season with 4 races in just over a month before we go to Phillip Island. Then we stretch ourselves out. Month of June is our pilgrimage to the Brickyard for our second of the Triple Crown races. You're in for a treat. Only one place to catch it, live on RaceSpotTV. And after the fact, rebroadcast with our partners at ESTV. But with that said, before we say goodbye, let's make sure that we let you know who makes all of this wonderful stuff happen, starting with the title sponsors of the Lionheart Retro Series. Next Level Racing is an industry-leading cockpit and motion simulator manufacturer devoted to creating the most immersive experience possible for the global sim racing community. Take your racing to the next level and visit nextlevelracing.com. The Lionheart Racing Series is powered by HyperX, makers of premier gaming gear like the legendary ultra-comfortable Cloud line of gaming headsets. Whatever you play, however you play, HyperX knows we're all gamers. For more information on HyperX products, visit hyperx.com.
ButtKicker, you're passionate about sim racing, but it always feels a little flat compared to the feeling of driving a real car. Now you can actually feel what it's like to drive a race car. ButtKicker haptic hardware and software are easy to install and let you feel every bump in the track, slip of your tire, and engine redline. The tactile feedback is so accurate and realistic you'll be driving faster and having more fun than ever before.
Moser Racing is revolutionizing sim racing with the development of industry-leading hardware and software like their R9 direct drive wheelbase and GS steering wheel. Featuring zero-delay wireless technology and made from high-end materials, Moser Racing delivers the precision you need to reach victory lane.
Gomez Sim Industries are makers of high-end esports equipment and controls, precision-built using nothing but the best materials available today. Passion and handmade craftsmanship drive each made-to-order build, creating a driving experience like no other. Visit GomezSimIndustries.com.
And it's not just them, but so many more that make this all happen. To learn more about the partners of the Lionheart Racing Series or about the 3 competitions the Lionheart sanctioning body puts on, visit Lionheart Racing Series for more. 7 days from now, we will be back. We head to the tricky triangle, the corner of Andretti Road and Long Point Road, for what is bound to be a frantic race around the Pocono Raceway. Don't miss any of the action. If you're not already subscribed to RaceSpotTV, hit that red button, hit the bell next to it to get notified every single time we go live with a great sim racing series that we get to cover. A barn burner of a race from Watkins Glen, and the first 3 races of this 2022 Lionheart Retro Series have not disappointed. What more could you ask for? Cautions, entertainment, wheel-to-wheel action, and fuel strategy. That is what road course racing is all about, and we thank you for tuning in to the ButtKicker Grand Prix at the Glen, presented by Moser Racing. 7 days from now, same time, same place, join us April 7th, 10:05 p.m. Eastern, 7:05 p.m. Pacific, where alongside myself, DJ Clark, will be with me, Arjuna Kankipati, to talk you through a Triple Crown race for the ages. For now, though, we say so long. 3 races, 3 different winners, but it's Matt Taylor on top of the world, conquering the Watkins Glen International Racecourse. We'll see you next time. For now, goodbye.